Hi, I'm Trevor. I like making YouTube videos, but I kind of suck at making YouTube videos. I put so much pressure on trying to create a video that's perfectly representative of who I am and my beliefs. And I don't like being misunderstood or feeling like I could be misunderstood. But I know that's silly because the internet is all about being misunderstood. I'm a creative person at heart. I have dedicated the last 8 years of my life to refining my art skills. I like to draw, I like to paint, I pretty much dabble in anything. And I've also loved making videos for as long as I can remember, even before I put them online. But I struggle to put them out now, and it's because I put so much pressure on myself. Like, they need to be the perfect thing. What I really want to do is just put content out. I mean, how do you get good at anything? How do you get good at art? You just keep drawing. The first 100 pieces aren't going to be that great. But I'm always worried about how my videos will be interpreted. It feels like there's so much more weight to this than to just drawing something, to sketching. What I want to do on my YouTube channel is put out my opinions and thoughts, and I want to discuss things. There's so many great ideas shared on this platform, and I want to contribute to that space. But it feels like it comes with the pressure that I need to be perfectly correct or right, or I need to have all of my thoughts ironed out, and I need to do tons of research and things like that. That's not really what I want to do on my platform here, my little YouTube channel. What I want to do is come on and have a real discussion like we're humans, and I want to just throw my ideas out there and my experiences and talk about it. I don't think I need to be an expert in everything or anything, really. Um, what I'm here to do is create community. And I'm not trying to be an authority on any subject, but I like to think about things and talk about them. And I like to hear what other people have to say too. And if I can start a discussion, then that's great. So that's what I'm trying to do today. I'm coming on here to talk really chill and candidly. I have been coming off of my psychiatric medications. It's been a long and slow process. Um, I've been off of antipsychotics for over a year now, but about a month ago, a little less than a month ago, I came off of my antidepressant, and the first time in it is the first time in 8 years that I've been pretty much unmedicated psychiatrically. And for reference, 8 years ago, I was 12. So I was on psychiatric medication during um, peak periods of my development, I would consider. And to be honest, my experience on them and coming off of them has not been pleasant. And it's been a lot. And it's been really hard to cope with on my own, to be honest. I mean, I'm not on my own. I have wonderful support systems in my life, but it feels like I'm medically alone. We don't like to talk about the damage that the drugs can do to you, or how hard it can be to come off of them when your brain becomes dependent on that drug, even if it's prescribed by a doctor and it's not addictive or anything. The past month has been pretty hard for me to get through, withdrawing from the antidepressant I was on. I'm not going to name it, but it's one that's pretty notorious for being difficult to come off of with withdrawal symptoms. I think I was going through a really strange period of akathisia. Um, I've had it before, I believe. I mean, nobody's ever diagnosed me with that because uh, they don't really see me. I mean, my mom did, people who aren't professionals who could diagnose me, but I mean, the professionals didn't get that peek into my life. Now, it's really blurry in my mind because antipsychotics made me have the worst brain fog and cognitive difficulties, and so I honestly just don't remember huge chunks of my life while I was on medication. But either while I was on a medication or coming off of one, um, I had pretty bad akathisia, and it presented at that time as pacing. I was pacing everywhere. I mean, it was insane. I had for portions of it, I put on it was an off-brand Fitbit. It was much cheaper, but I also had a tracker on my phone, so I was kind of collecting data from two different places. Um, and my highest steps, like daily, I was hitting 30,000, 40,000, almost 50,000 steps a day. It was insane. I was pacing so much. Um, did I even sit down during that period of my life? I'm not sure. But as of the past month, my akathisia has been presenting in a different way. Um, and fingers crossed, knock on wood, all of that good stuff. I haven't had a problem in like the past week. Um, so I'm hoping I'm kind of getting over the worst of it. Um, but it was really bad and embarrassing and kind of shameful. The way I behaved coming off of the med and feeling the akathisia, it made me scream and like tear at my skin, like really pick at it and scratch at myself. Um, and I would sometimes hit myself because I was feeling so uncomfortable and like this torturous feeling. And I wanted to get out of my body. I wanted to crawl out of my skin. Um, and usually that's something more common with coming off of antipsychotics. That's when I initially first had that symptom, um, or being on one of them. And then I definitely had it again when I came off of a major antipsychotic that was not good for me. It was actually the last antipsychotic I was on. And I had to come off of that one. I was on it for a year. It was one I needed to get blood work for like every other week. And I gained so much weight on that one, like 80 pounds in less than a year. It caused really bad brain fog. And then I really had to come off of it because I was having seizures on it. I went to a neurologist, they had an EEG done. And thankfully, all of that resolved once I came off the medication. But I came off of the medication really fast, too quickly. Like, my psychiatrist barely tapered me off of it, which is also it put me at higher risk of having withdrawal or discontinuation syndrome type things. I'm still not sure I'm fully recovered from that, and I came off of that medication in like February 2023. Oh, I forgot to mention that one also caused like liver damage, um, like and super high cholesterol, like problems with that. Thankfully, those have resolved since being off of the medication. But since coming off of that medication, I immediately had trouble eating. Um, I felt nauseous every time I ate. I didn't feel hungry. Like my hunger signals and cues were like all off, and food wasn't really pleasant to eat anymore. Um, and I was dropping weight like super quickly. I lost so much weight in a very, very short period of time. And I'm still dealing with appetite problems and gastrointestinal like upset um, to this day. I'm working on it with my gastroenterologist. But yeah, that one antipsychotic, so that caused liver problems, extreme weight gain, seizures, and then everything else that came like after it. And who knows what else? I mean, when I was on it, my mom, who was taking care of me during that time when I was on it, I mean, I was pretty much a zombie. I was not myself, and she could see that. And that was the last time I was on an antipsychotic. After that, I was like, I'm not putting myself through that again. My body went through like way too much, and it needs time to heal. And I still think I'm healing. It's taking a while. I mean, I've been on meds for so long, so many years, and being off of them for only a year, I guess, proportionally makes sense. And now I've come off of my antidepressants as well. Um, and I actually, in the past few days to like a week, I've been feeling better. I've been having windows of feeling good in between all of the withdrawal symptoms. I've been having these windows of just feeling like I'm doing the right thing and my body's gonna heal. But it has still been really hard, and I don't think I'm 100% yet. I'm having cognitive difficulties for sure. Um, I just feel really slow. It also makes sense that, like, after having an episode of akathisia, which lately those episodes have been pretty, like, violent feeling, and, like, I need to scratch and crawl out of my skin. And I have so much energy, like, I could, like, run around the globe and it would not feel relieving for that energy. Like, it would still feel like I have it. After those episodes, I crash really hard, and then I do notice more cognitive difficulties, which makes sense. Because after being so, like, agitated and hyperactive in that state, my body kind of goes complete opposite. With all of the negatives I'm talking about, and feeling slow and having cognitive difficulties, it might sound all bad, but in between, I feel like, I don't know, I feel a sense of hope, that coming off the medications is the right thing to do for me right now. And that maybe after 8 years of being on medication during, like, critical development periods, it's okay to let my brain have time to heal and do what it needs to do to figure itself out without the medications. I've had this discussion with my psychiatrist. She's like asking me if I'd consider going back on a long-term medication. And I'm not one of those people that's going to be like, absolutely not. My opinion can change, and it very well might, you know. I'm leaving myself that option to go back on it if I need it. But for now, I feel like I need an extended break for my brain to breathe, to learn how to cope and not be dependent on the medication for a little while. I need to figure out who I am without the medication, because the amount and frequency at which I was switching medications, I think it masked a lot of who I am, and it delayed some forms of development in my brain. There wasn't really an extended period of time between the ages of 12 and 20 that I was off medication. And it's kind of crazy. It's kind of weird to think about that. And I do sometimes fall into these negative thinking patterns of like, oh, what if, or like, what could have happened? Who would I be if I didn't start taking medications so young? And I realize all of that's kind of pointless to think about. I am where I am right now, regardless. I've got to figure out what to do with what I've got. And I feel like this is positive. I know I'm like really low energy in this video, but I promise I'm just like struggling cognitively to put things together. I notice myself struggling more cognitively when I'm talking about really deep ideas and things like that, which makes sense. But I really do think I'm moving in a good direction, and this is part of healing. Is to give myself some space for medication, get a sense for who I am, and then if I do need it again down the line, I'm not completely opposed to it. I've had really negative experiences on it, and not a lot of benefit to warrant taking it, to be honest. But I'd be open to it, to trying again down the line. I mean, who knows what other medications or treatments they're gonna have in the future. So, but yeah, one thing I want to make clear is that I don't think I ever found great benefit from any of these drugs. I wouldn't tell anyone to stop taking their psychiatric medication if they see benefit. Like, if you're benefiting from your antidepressant, like it's making your depression better, of course, keep taking it. But I've trialed so many drugs of different types for different things, and I've never found much benefit in it. And I've often found myself reacting pretty poorly and having like pretty bad side effects to medication. And I'm not exactly sure why that is. I might just be particularly sensitive to side effects. Like, some people are probably just more prone to things. And I'm not sure the antidepressants ever worked because they weren't addressing why I was depressed. We're depressed for reasons a lot of the time. I would say most of the time people are depressed with good reason. They're in circumstances that are quite depressing. They're not making enough money, or they have health problems. I was in a position when I was 12, before all of the medications. Why was I depressed? Why was I suicidal? because I was in a really hard spot in life. My family life was really volatile at the time, and I was dealing with being awkward socially and figuring out my gender identity and a whole host of things that were happening at the same time. It makes sense that I was depressed and I was dealing with trauma at the same time. Um, so, of course, I was feeling like these big things, and I was feeling hopeless and helpless. And those things never went addressed. Like, I couldn't fix my home life. I told other people about what I could, um, about how it was a lot to be going through at the time. It's reasonable to be depressed under certain situations. Um, and I'm kind of seeing the logic now where like there are reasons this child is depressed. But instead of trying to fix those and really work at those, they found it easier to medicate me for the resulting symptoms of living in a very bad situation. Um, and that's kind of how everything starts. And then they just kept medicating me and medicating me. And now I'm at a point where I don't remember big portions of my teen years. A lot of things are just very vague memories. And I would comfortably call myself someone who was over medicated. Um, they had me on multiple antipsychotics at a time. Um, they had me on a bunch of antidepressants and they were switching me really fast. And nothing was working, but they never stopped trying to treat it the same way. So this video isn't a public service announcement like don't take psychiatric meds. There's a time and a place for them, absolutely. But sometimes they just don't work for certain people, and for other people maybe they get nasty side effects from them. And I definitely think we should consider the age of the person we're treating. Throwing a bunch of mind-altering medications at a 12-year-old and having him on those until he's 20 might potentially do something to the development of the brain. I don't think we really know all that much yet. And it's not like doom and gloom. Like, I don't think I'm permanently, like, brain damaged and, like, I won't be able to function. It's just that I think I need to heal from that now. And that's going to take some work as well. And what's going to help support me through that? Because so far, my experience with healthcare in America is they just want to prescribe. And then when you say, well, I don't really want the medication, they're like, well, I don't know how to help you then. You're kind of being non-compliant. I know that's not everyone's experience, but there are a lot of bad practitioners out there. And doctors, as always, are just human. And they're as human as you and me, with as many flaws and faults. So what is this video, really? I guess it's a reflection on my development. It's a reflection on my use of psychiatric medications for so long. It's kind of a justification for why I'm coming off of them. I don't feel the need to justify it to anyone, but I feel like I'm saying my piece, I guess. And it's also a warning, you know? Don't completely let your guard down. I had a lot of trust in my doctors, and I will say some of it is broken now. I still go to them, I still see them. I know that's an important part of being a functioning human ultimately. I need to see my doctors, I need to get medical help when I need it. But some of that trust is broken, and the fantasy is kind of shattered a little bit. Sometimes the medications don't work, and sometimes they just leave you with more side effects, and it feels like you've lost some years. And that's not to say it's gonna happen, it always happens. I actually think a lot of my symptoms were fairly on the rare side, because I might be sensitive to medications, who knows? But just because a doctor's prescribing it doesn't mean it's completely harmless. I think especially the way we treat kids in psychiatric care right now, kids and teens, could be vastly improved, to say the least. Because a reminder, before I was 18, like when I was a minor, I didn't have the choice to be on these drugs. I mean, I tried to take myself off of them. I cold turkeyed myself off of them when I was desperate a few times. They were giving me side effects, or I just didn't feel comfortable being on so many meds. And I stopped taking them for like very short periods of time. Um, but then I would get reprimanded for doing that. Because, I mean, they wanted me medicated. Like, they kept medicating me even when I told them I didn't want to be. It wasn't until recently that I even had the option, or it felt like I had the option and decision and autonomy to come off of the medications. We need to be wary of like how much we're prescribing psychiatric meds to kids, and we also need to be mindful that kids should have a degree of autonomy as well, and they should have a choice to participate in making decisions that affect their development. I think this is going to get a lot easier as time goes on. I mean, even the past week has felt a lot better than the week before. It's a long road to recovery. It's a long road to come off of psychiatric meds after being on them for so many years. I'm not expecting it to be easy or fast, but so far things are progressing quicker, and things are more positive than I thought they'd be by now. It's only a month in, and I kind of feel hopeful again. Um, I feel like this is a good decision, and it's one that's felt like my own. And there's something really empowering about that after feeling forced to have to take medication for a while. So yeah, I kind of just wanted to share my story. I want to share what's going on with me. It's a tough battle, um, but I've gained a lot of experience, and hopefully some of this knowledge that I have is now useful for someone else. I mean, I think that's the best outlook I have on it. And I apologize if I sound discombobulated and if this video didn't make very much sense. um, I want to be here more frequently. I want to upload more frequently, and sometimes things don't need to be a perfect quality, and I need to accept that. Thank you so much for listening to me, though, and if you have your own experience with psychiatric medications, being on them, coming off of them, really any and all opinions, I will take them. This is an open conversation here, so feel free to leave your experience in the comments below. And if you liked what I had to say, or you found it interesting at all, I would really appreciate if you subscribed and hit the thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching.